Hey guys, this is Mary, and
And this is Kyle.
we just have some questions to answer, you guys. Um, how did we first meet, babe?
Oh, well, we first met on Facebook dating, actually. Mhm. Yeah, and then eventually we were. Eventually, she asked where I was working right now, and I told her I'm working at Jimmy John's, and next thing I know, she came through the door, and that's how we first met.
And what was your reaction? What was your first reaction when you saw me open the door and come in?
Oh, I just my first thought said, well. My first thought was, oh, I guess looks like I better act like a gentleman. An absolute good gentleman, shake her hand, and just start off as being her friend.
And he did. I remember, because we met on Facebook dating, and we were chatting here and there for maybe like a week or two. And, I wanted to see what he looked like in person. And so I was like trying to get us together. And he was just like, no, he just doesn't think it was the right time for us to meet just yet and whatnot. And for me at the time, I needed to see him in person to see if it was something real, because Facebook dating, yeah, I needed to know if it was real or not for me. Otherwise, I don't know if I wanted to continue like chatting with him. So I just was like, oh, or you must be fake or something, or why don't you want to send me your where you work? I want an address, and because I wanted real information. And he sent me his address, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna come this evening, okay? And he was like, well, I don't think it's the right time for us to meet just yet, in person, not under this type of circumstances. He was at work and stuff like that, and I was at work too. I remember on my break I was like texting, I was on the dating app, so I knew I was gonna get off at like 6 or 8 or something like that, and he was gonna get off at 10. So I was like, well, I better go see this man since I have an address. I'm gonna put it to use immediately so that I can see if I'm actually attracted to him in real life. Oh yeah, I think it was a tooth that okay, on one of his Facebook dating pictures, I think he was like doing some type of crazy. And that was what I was like, okay, I was looking at the pictures, I was like, oh Lord, I don't know. But then I saw some pictures, he was with his mother and he was with his dad, and a lot of the things he said on there was really good. Like he said, I pray to be a father and things like that. It was the character that I saw, and that's usually what I'm attracted to. But, and that was what I was attracted to. He pursued me on there, every morning he would be on there, hello, Mary, or good morning, and things like that. Until one point, it was like, it kind of caught me. I'm like, golly, he's always, reaching out to me. That's what made me actually was like, okay, I need to see him in person to see if I'm actually attracted to him, in person too. Because I've always been attracted to like the character more, but I needed to know, am I attracted to him in person? So that's why when he sent the address, I was like, you know what? I told him, I said, I'm gonna come. And although he was like, well, I don't think this is the best time or whatever, I showed up anyway. I had already, told him I was gonna come, and whether he liked it or not, I'm coming. So I showed up at the door, and I didn't really, it was my first time, and I walked in at Jimmy John's, where he had a second shift at that time. I walked in. It was three gentlemen at the right there in front, and I couldn't really tell because it was my first time meeting him in person. I don't know if he's gonna look the same or not, because women, we put pictures, and on my Facebook dating I had pictures of me with makeup, and some pictures of me like natural at work or something, but a lot of pictures I had makeup on. But when I was going to see him that day, it was after work, so I didn't have makeup on. I was just like this with my work clothes, and I wasn't shy or anything. I knew I was who I was on the Facebook dating. I had maybe just one picture of me natural. So I hoped he saw it. Did you see any picture of me on my Facebook dating
Uh,
on my app with me natural?
yeah, I do. Yeah, I believe so.
Which one? Can you describe what it looked like? Do you
Well,
still remember?
there was one where you were still wearing your braces. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and it was a natural. Yes, I remember. So yeah, so that's why I was confident. I had the address and it was convenient for me at the time because I was at work and I was going to get off at I believe like 6 or 7 or something like that. And I could just, on my way home just branch there just to see this man and to see if we have an instant, like physical connection or more, and so that we could know because I could tell he was pursuing me. I could tell. So I didn't want to waste his time and I didn't want to waste mine. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna show up. So I walked in and I was like, Kyle. I just screamed. I just screamed out like Kyle because it was three gentlemen standing right there. So I wanted to make sure that he knew me. I was coming and it was me. And I immediately saw his face like look serious, like he looked around, and I walked to him, and I remember he was exactly what he just described a minute ago. That he was making sure that he was being a gentleman and that introduced himself, and that's exactly what he did. I walked up to him and I was smiling, and I saw his disposition kind of change because he was at work, he was kind of working. I caught him working, and his disposition changed when I walked up to him. And he immediately said, "Hello, hi, my name is Kyle." And he reached out to shake my hand. And honest to God, God knows my heart, that was actually what caught me. And I just started smiling like I am right now. And, he kept talking, and I introduced myself to her. Or what happened afterwards, because honestly, y'all, I do. You see that cross behind me? God knows I'm telling the truth. I don't remember the events that happened afterwards. I was taken away by the fact that I caught him off guard, and he still managed to be a gentleman and try to make sure that he put his best foot forward. He said, "Hello, hi, my name is Kyle," and he had the softest voice. He switched from I never heard his voice before, but I could tell when a man tried to sound gentleman like, very soft and gentle. And I started smiling because he won my heart. I was like, oh, he's really putting his best foot forward. So I had to give him my best. I think I was just smiling afterwards, and we said a few things back and forth. I think he said he lived on his own. He managed to let me know again that he lived on his own, and I think he said his rent is pretty cheap, that he could manage to pay it. So when he said something like that, I was like, okay, he's hinting that he can take care of me. That's how I saw it. And anyway, I'll let you continue. What happened after you introduced yourself and we shook hands? Because honestly, I don't remember. I don't.
Well, I was just focusing on trying to just be myself and just ask questions and answer her questions and such. Yeah. And since I was working at Jimmy John's, we both knew that it can't last too long. Yeah.
That
And
what can't last too long.
a little a little conversation. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So we started figuring out when's a good time to uh, uh, when and where is going to be a good time to hang out again. And I do believe it was at my church, Faith Lutheran Church. Yeah. hmm
Oh, that was
After
like the first date. Yeah.
yeah yeah well, yeah we went to a church service and then enjoyed brunch at Starbucks.
Yes. Okay. So, ladies, I'm going to say one thing and then I'm going to wrap it up because it's going about, I want it to be 10 minutes. Okay. So, after that, we met at the Jimmy John's. I gave him my phone number, and then he texted me when I got home, and then we made plans to have a first, uh, I guess first date, like to go out and do things together. And our first date was at his church, because during the Facebook chatting, he mentioned his church to me, so I knew at some point I wanted to attend his church. Maybe the first date, because that was the thing that I was already doing in my life. I was going to church honestly like almost every Sunday. I would miss maybe one Sunday in a month. So it was a routine for me. So I was like, okay, well maybe because he already told me his church, and I never been to a Lutheran church, Christian Lutheran. So I was like, I was really interested. So we planned for us to go to his church as a first date, to attend a fellowship together, which we did. And his mother was there singing in the choir, so I was able to meet his mother, which was really good sign for me. I remember when we walked in together. Babe, did you tell your mom that we were coming?
I believe so.
Oh, okay. So before when we were talking on Facebook dating, before our first date at Faith Lutheran, what were the things you told your parents about me?
I can't remember that uh, I met this girl on Facebook dating, and and we seem to hit it off pretty okay, and we're gonna uh, uh, we're gonna start our first date or something.
Yeah, so it was Faith Lutheran, and his mother was in the choir. And I remember when we walked in, she saw us coming in, and she was just like smiling. She had this affirmation on her face, because we walked in and she was in the choir already. So it wasn't like she could come and run up to him or out, it was already a formal meeting. And she was just like smiling at him, like kind of like it was almost irresistible, and that's how I knew that I think she was proud of her son, of his choice. And it made me very confident and happy for to be able to even join the family, because that's the affirmation that I got immediately from her, that she welcomed me into the family. So it was mad respect, so I really respect his mother. After church, he introduced me to a few more of his church members, and they were really all warm and welcoming, very hospitable. They had food, coffee, and I mean it felt like home immediately. Also felt like my church, Spring Creek, warm with a little cafe brunch, food here and there, pastries. So I felt really at home immediately. And then after our little fellowship at church, we went to Starbucks around like maybe 11 o'clock a.m. We went to Starbucks and we chatted till about like one or so. And so, ladies, the first um, date, whenever you meet a man, the first date I really strongly suggest should be lunch. And then I remember our second date was dinner. I think we went to bowling at nighttime and movies or something like that. Or what was our second date? Was
Uh,
that EVO?
yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, where we
Where we
played.
saw Novocaine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was like lunch, and then he wanted a little bit more. I remember I was like, "Wow!" And he asked, "Do we? Maybe we can have dinner. Catch a movie too." And I remember I was like, "Oof, golly!" Like we only planned to have, I didn't say it, but in my head I was like, you know,
Yeah.
but I'll tell you guys that later in the next, But yeah, so let your first date be lunch. That way you just, you're gathering data, you're out in the public. Starbucks, something like that is really nice. So, but yeah, I just wanted to get on here and give you guys a little welcoming of us, Mary and Kyle. We're 9 months today. We met on we first chatted each other February 10th on Facebook dating. February 10th. So that was the first time we ever, knew about our existence of each other. So I always celebrate February 10th because that's the very, very, very first time we ever communicated. I think that's what I'm basing February 10th off. off. Anyway, all right, bye, you guys.
Bye. My leg is falling asleep.